One more time. One more time. One more time. One more time.
What is freaking up, you guys? My name is Sarah.
And my name is Eve.
And we are Burnt Out Perfectionist.
You sounded so official, like a news anchor. And welcome to tonight's news.
It's because I took a deep breath. Oh. As we are recording today, we are partially Care Bearified. If you'd like to know what that is, we are dressing up as Care Bears for Halloween.
Care Bear countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Myself, Eve, my husband, and my daughter. And Eve so lovingly made the costumes last night. I expected to come here today to manufacture said costumes. And she was like, so they're done. And I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. I was babysitting.
Yeah.
And the kid was asleep. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm like sitting there with a baby monitor. And I'm like, well, I don't want to have the TV on. Because if you haven't heard, I'm half deaf. So why should I add extra noise?
Yeah.
So I was just chilling there, cutting out some felt, watching the baby monitor.
So we're doing a comfy version where you get basically like a t-shirt and then you cut out the stuff out of felt. And then Eve glued it on.
I cut it out, glued it all on last night. It wasn't that hard.
No. And then we're doing baseball hats because we all get migraines from headbands.
Our heads are too big for them. That's the main reason.
I have a tiny head. I'm the tiny head club Lone Ranger.
I am nighttime bear because if I fall asleep during the day, during Halloween, at least I'm on trend.
And I am Share Bear because I'm purple already, so why not just full send purple?
Oh my god, funniest thing. So Sarah was doing her makeup, and progressively her whole face turned pink, and I was like, do you want? She was like, looks at me, and I'm just like, with the faces, can I fix that, please?
It was one of those things where you slowly start to do the same thing as somebody else. And then I ended up making freckles that were bigger and they were like dark purple. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just like blend them out. And then it was kind of blending out evenly because we were using eyeshadow instead of face paint because it's just so much more comfortable. And then all of a sudden it just starts getting patchy. And then it's getting pinker. No matter how dark of purple I put on my face, no matter how blue purple I use, my face was just getting pink. I eventually look like Violet. And Eve comes downstairs. I'm like, do I look okay? And she was just like, yes, we can totally do what I did to my face. I was like, oh, okay. Which meant the brush decided to enter thy nose cavities.
Oh my god. You need to get out of the crevasses.
The crevasses. So we just have a little bit of color across our noses. And then a little nose. Some freckles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the ears will have the baseball hats and everything. What? It's your survive and thrive of the week.
I had my mouth open.
I know. That's what I did.
That's spreading. My survive of the past week is I was sick.
Yeah. You were hard cold sick.
Like, I called in sick. I was so sick.
Yeah.
Which I usually can get through a cold in like a day. Flu in a day. Not to like hype it up. I say that's the universe's way of blessing me with random allergies that could possibly kill me.
Yeah.
But I was down for the count for a few days, which was not my favorite time. And my thrive is I got to hang out with my couple friend and their baby last night.
Yeah, which is super.
And they're the best. We went football. And if you're listening to this, it was the Chargers versus the Minnesota Vikings. And all I could say is, wow, refs. You really don't know what a horse collar is, don't you? Or a face mask. But you know, whatever. Just to move on with my day. What is your survive and or thrive of said week?
It's the same thing. I'm planning an event at my daughter's school. And it is both the survive and thrive. Because I'm very excited to do it and have all the stuff. There's so many like little tiny details and just trying to like stay on top of that. Also, gelato. What the fuck?
If you are unaware of what gelato is a print-on-demand service that we use for our business over on the label. Check us out at www.overonthelabel.ca.
So we recently launched a hockey mom collection. So there's like the hot mess mom and the put together mom. And it was inspired by a picture that I got sent by my friend saying, oh my God, we should get sweaters like this. And I was like, I'm going to make 2 different versions of that. And she's like, what? And then I did it. And then we put it on the site. So we shall see how it goes. And it's available now if you're listening, as long as you are located in Canada. Yes, I know we're still trying to figure out the US thing. And I literally put everything on ahead of time and I just hit it. Everything was on. Everything was perfect. The mock-ups, wonderful. Loaded it up. Half the mock-ups disappeared. One of the images on half the shirts decided to be a different color showing on the website than what would actually be printed on the sweater. There was a couple like little random things and I was like, what's the deuce? So it was like in increments. It was like every hour, just check to see what the heck was going on that time. And this happens with stuff like this all the time. There's no way to ever get it perfect. If you ever watch those things, people are like, oh, you just take an image, stick it on a sweater, and put it on your Shopify store, and you'll make millions of dollars. No. No, it is not that easy. There are so many other hoops you have to jump through. So those were my things. I'm very excited for Halloween, though.
I am not a super big Halloween person. And we discussed this earlier. So I was like, at least with Halloween, it's really like Halloween or not Halloween. But like with Christmas, you could have vintage Christmas, winter wonderland, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa. If you just don't celebrate Christmas, you can celebrate the holiday and it like is a transformation. It's always very like lighthearted and joyful. Halloween, it's like Halloween? No.
There's like cutesy Halloween and then like scary Halloween.
But like I find that scary Halloween just takes it over. Like not a lot of people are like being that cutesy.
Well, be Care Bears.
I don't mean this.
I like watching horror movies though, but I like cheesy horror movies. Like Scream.
I just find them very predictable.
Yeah. But all you fear is joy when you watch Hallmark movies.
Well, because you know what's going to happen, and it's kind of just like, oh. Yeah. But Halloween, it's like, oh, of course you felt that person.
I rewatched The Irish Witch yesterday while I was working on stuff. That movie's so cute. It's so random, but very cute. I love Lindsay Lohan. She has a new Christmas movie coming out.
Oh my God, with an adorable man.
Yeah, and with isn't Kristen Chenoweth in it too? I think she plays her.
Oh, she plays her boyfriend's mom.
Yeah. Oh, and Ezra's in it from Pretty Little Liars. So this will be the final week of Spooky Spotlight. We're gonna end it off with some Reddit stories. I went into the paranormal tab, unless Eve has any crazy stories that she'd like to talk about.
On a slight note of what we discussed before, the Mendes brothers might be getting a retrial.
Oh my goodness, I saw that.
So because they are tried, this is from a TikTok video. Because they were tried, and they were tried with no parole or anything like that, they're going to revisit the case, and because they're under the age of 26 years old, they might only be given 50 years for double murder, but it might also be changed because they've also been in there forever.
Yeah. Maybe adjusted. We shall see. Which is very interesting. I find it funny that when those documentaries come out, suddenly it's like, oh my God, we might be letting them. And I'm like, what is this? Their cavalry video of like, here they come.
Oh, yes. Here they are again.
Oh, I know. Oh my goodness. Society is very interesting at this time.
It is.
So do we want to jump in? Sure. Okay. So I'm not going to say the full title of this. I'm just going to call it Best Friend's House.
Ew.
My best friend lives with her parents in a home built in the 1700s.
Ew. Sounds asbestos.
It's like, sounds aesthetic as shit. I've known her since I was a teenager. We're in our mid-20s now and her parents have never allowed anyone to their home because they have a demon living in the second floor room.
That's so casual.
Just so casual. That's what made me laugh. Truthfully, I thought it was a joke and that they were just fairly strict, private, and didn't want kids poking around. Like their fairly small place, which is understandable. But during the course of COVID, when we were stuck isolating and she couldn't come to my apartment or meet me anywhere, we would FaceTime. This is where things get weird.
I'm sorry, you didn't FaceTime before COVID?
No, she would just like hang out with her friend. I don't know. This is where things got a little weird, and a little unexplainable. I don't know how to describe the blurs that would appear on her screen around her, but you could actually put the Snapchat, FaceTime, or Instagram filters on them. It didn't matter the platform, the camera would actually sense the strange blur as a face. And if you left the filter on, you can watch it move around the room. I FaceTimed dozens of friends during this time. Nothing like this ever happened. Even if something was glitchy, this happened nearly every time I FaceTimed my best friend. The most activity was always on the second floor. I asked her if that's where the demon lived. And she said casually, no, this is just the other ghosts that are here. We have a few. These guys aren't that bad.
I'm sorry, why would you live in that house?
I love how just like casual there. They're not that bad. I asked her where the demon is, and she said he's locked in a room on the second floor. It used to be her bedroom, but her parents actually moved her out of the room as a teenager because shit got weird in there. She would wake up with scratches, she got sleep paralysis, and would hear pacing around the bed. They had no pets at this time. She would wake up with scratches, she got sleep paralysis, would hear pacing around the bed. They had no pets at the time. Stuff would either be moved or completely missing. Her mom started using it as an office, but quickly moved out, when she would see the figure out of the corner of her eye on the top of all of them, like hovering above them. It became just a storage room. Still is to this day, and they have a deadbolt on the door, locked from the outside. It looks super sketchy, but it's worked for them. My friend still hears pacing at night. She has a dog now, and every night her dog watches and stares at the wall between her room and the demon's room. Her parents also have house rules to acknowledge or try to not communicate with any of the ghosts, especially the demon, and if they see or hear something weird, they just share looks of acknowledgement and don't talk about it until they're outside the house. She has spookier specific stories, but this is just insane. I can't believe she just acts like it's nothing.
Why wouldn't you move?
Yeah, like, last time I checked, house prices aren't that bad. I feel like you could move. Like, what the heck?
It's weird.
It's
Plus, why would you get somebody to come in?
I know, like a priest or something, throw some holy water around. I don't know, I guess they didn't want to, like, piss it off.
But it just seems so casual. I hope we just casually have a demon.
I know, the way that they did that, and I was like, what? Someone in the notes was like, this is not a demon. It could be an angry brownie, a house spirit, which made me giggle when I read angry brownie. You could try to negotiate with it to leave, and leave an offering and make friends. It could also be a nature spirit that accidentally wandered in from the forest, got stuck there, and then shit on everyone. Are there any mirrors in this room? Like, there's just, like, all these people asking questions. Someone's like, is there really good ventilation in this house? It sounds like there's an issue.
Maybe a natural gas leak.
Natural.
They're just used to. This one's titled, Something Evil Lurked in My Childhood House for 6 Years. The Horrifying Events That Drove Us Out. When I was a kid, we lived in a small, isolated home on the edge of a half-developed neighborhood. There was only about 6 houses on our block, and ours was the last one before many overgrown weeds and empty land stretched out into the dark. At night, the area was deserted. I almost write like deserted. Deserted. You'd rarely see anyone stepping outside. I lived there from ages of 7 to 13, and looking back, it felt like I was trapped inside one of those disturbing, uncanny horror films where reality always seems just a bit off. Okay, my thought is, why aren't you mowing the lawn?
Why are these people staying in these houses?
6 years!
I know.
Before I dive into the incidents, it's worth mentioning that our life in the house was filled with a sense of suffocating dread. Wow. Financially, we struggled a lot during those years, drowning in debt. Strangely enough, things turned around for us as soon as we moved out. Family fights erupted daily, and I remember feeling terrified constantly. I remember not going far into any room, so that if anything jumps out, I could run through the door easily. I don't know why I did that, to be honest. Here are some of the events that made me believe something was haunting us. Number 1. I'm sorry, there shouldn't be more than one. The Unseen Watcher. I remember staying home from school one day because I was sick. I was curled up on the couch, watching Barney and Friends, trying to distract myself from the eerie feeling of the house. How old are you?
1994, Barney was huge, so that's when I think it was.
That's like 7 to 13.
Yeah.
At some point, I felt someone standing beside me. I assumed it was my mom joining me to watch the show, so I didn't think much of it. A few minutes passed, and I casually asked her something. There was no response. I asked her one more time, and there was no response again. I turned to find no one there. That's when it hit me. My mom wasn't even home. She had left for work hours ago, and I was completely alone in the house. This freaked me out, and I opened the front door and sat on the porch until my parents came home, because it felt so real. It felt like somebody was actually there. Again, why is there more than one incident?
No, I love that.
Incident number 2. The yellow ball in the swarm. This incident happened to me when my sister... This incident happened to my sister, but I'll explain in my POV. We used to sleep in the same room since our house only had one bedroom, and me and my sister would always sleep in between my parents to feel safe. One night my sister was studying for her test in the living room around 12:30 a.m. I was starting to fall asleep when suddenly my sister busted through the door, running and jumped onto the bed, screaming and crying. After calming her down, she told us what happened. She was in the living room studying for a test when out of nowhere, a small yellow ball with a smiley face on it rolled into the hallway from the other room. And as it came to stop, dozens of cockroaches scurried out from the same room, like they do when they hear humans walking. I'm sorry, what the fuck? Our house had a serious cockroach problem. The floors practically come alive with them at night. Why? She said a heavy sense of dread washed over her as she stared into the dark hallway. Then she saw it, a shadowy figure emerging from the darkness, moving in a way that made her feel cold all over. She told us that she felt stuck for a second and froze in fear before running to the bedroom. Why is it normal for there to be swarms of cockroaches?
Well, because they said they're in financial difficulties, so they're just living in a house that they can afford, I think. That's what I got out of it.
Incident number 3. The disappearing glasses. One morning, my dad couldn't find his glasses. He had recently undergone cataract surgery, so they were essential. The whole family spent what felt like hours scouring every inch of the house. We checked his shelf multiple times, which was where he usually kept them, but they were nowhere to be found. We left for school, defeated and convinced the glasses were gone for good. But later that evening, as we were sitting around, my dad suddenly called out to my mom, sounding almost angry. We rushed over to find the glasses were sitting right on the shelf, exactly where we had checked over and over again. My dad thought one of us was playing a game on him, but we weren't. There was no explanation as to how they reappeared like that. It wasn't us pranking him, although he was mad for the rest of the day.
Checks out.
Incident number 4. Like, damn, the first 3 didn't get you out?
No.
The mysterious fortune teller. Okay, so this one is actually scary, so strap in. How would you feel if a creepy-looking guy stood in front of your house and started chanting?
He was trying to help.
Oh my god, I was like, actually, we've had something like this happen before. Well, in South Indian culture, there's a figure known as Kura Gurba Dupa Karen. I apologize if I said this wrong. Karan. I've not heard much about them, but they are devotees of God who roam around the streets and randomly tell fortunes to people. But most people avoid him, fearing that his predictions might bring misfortune. My first encounter with one of them was when I was young. I remember hearing a man singing some kind of religious song near our doorstep, like literally a few meters away from their door. I went to check on it, but my mom quickly grabbed me from the back and told me to be silent and not to make a sound. We pretended like nobody was home, and eventually he went off. I was so confused and asked my mom who he was and what he was doing, but she didn't explain and just brushed it off. Years later, as strange things kept happening in this house grew more intense, a similar figure began appearing near our house where my dad was home alone. For several days, this man stood near our door, chanting and seemingly delivering cryptic messages at night. Finally, my dad confronted him, telling him to stay away. I never saw that man again, but I can't shake the feeling that his presence was somehow connected to this disturbances. Again! Why do we have to go to number 5?
I'd sleep in my...
Incident number 5. Well, this girl was age 7 to 13. Yeah. The chanting yogi. My sister also had a reoccurring nightmares while we lived there. She remembers in particular one that terrified her. She would wake up with a vivid vision of a figure, like a yogi or a mystic, sitting on her chest, chanting in an unknown language. She would feel his weight pressing down on her, making it almost feel uncomfortable / impossible to breathe. The vision plagued her until we left the house for good. We finally moved out of that place, and in our relief, the strange experiences almost entirely stopped. Her financial situation improved, the family conflicts became less frequent, and the constant creeping fear seemed to lift. I can't explain what happened in that house, but living there always felt like I was in a disturbing horror film, one that I desperately wanted to escape. Reddit, do you think there was something paranormal going on, or just the atmosphere of the place getting to us? And some of them are like, so interesting that there's chanting priests found you. Did you mention your troubles in the church or temple or whatever? Since the religion seems to be involved, why didn't your parents get a holy person to cleanse the place? Thank you. Yeah. Maybe we should add that to the other person. What are some other ones? Wow, any pictures of the house? Yeah. Does anyone else move to there after you moved out? Is it still standing now? I feel like it could also be definitely paranormal. Very interesting post. Yes, more stories. Wow, that's some seriously creepy stories. Yeah. But like, I was all of a sudden just like, why are you still just sitting there? Why are we making the choice? Why are we just allowing these things to happen?
Okay, so this was put on Reddit 10 days ago and updated 3 hours ago.
Oh, we love an update.
Okay. The man who lived in the house before us is still there. Look on Eve's face. Ew. We have a resident ghost. We know exactly who he is, and we don't mind. He's friendly, if not a bit mischievous. Here's how we know. Ryan died in the hospital about 6 months before we bought his house. We know members of his family now, and all of the neighbors tell us how good of a man he was. He was an older man who left his kids and grandkids. About 8 months after we moved, he made himself known to me. I would hear heavy boots walking down the hall or pacing in the spare room, which used to be his hobby room, while I was alone at home. We started to see strange ghost orbs and mists appear on the doorbell cameras, opening the screen door as if someone was coming inside. Several times I would have a nightmare and then get woken up by something slamming a door in the house. It wasn't malicious. I think he was just trying to wake me up from the nightmare. I cleansed the house twice, but told him if he represented light and love that he could stay. But any other malice needed to leave the home. Some darker things, the spirit causing my nightmares, left, but he stayed. One night, I had my nephews over, and they were playing together outside in the yard. When I went to check on them, the older of the two told me there was an old man watching them by the tree. He pointed to the big tree near the back of near my back door. No one was there. Was he being mean? I asked. He replied, no. He said he was just checking on us, and I truly do believe that. We made an arrangement with Orion. If you leave us and our loved ones be, then we will have you around. He seemed to be content with that. He never bothers us or makes us feel afraid. We don't interact at all that much, though I can feel him at times, hanging out in the living room with us or observing us when we have company over. Occasionally, he'll stomp around loudly, usually if we're renovating something, but I calmly explain that we are doing it for the health of the home and that we respect all that he's done in our home before we purchased it. It always seems to calm him. You don't believe me, but it's all true. We aren't scared in our home. No, I would kick him out if he did anything out of malice. We truly believe he is just a charming old man who loves his home. Edit. I posted this to share a new perspective of paranormal experiences on this page. It does not always have to be negative. However, I do not condone people being tormented in their homes. Please, if you need help, seek someone. My experience is very specific and has been monitored closely. There is an update as of 3 hours ago. I didn't think I would make an update, but this post has attracted a lot of attention, and I've gotten several inquiries about new activities or clarification, so here you are. Ryan is still very much present in our home. I have started saying hello when I come home from work and can tell he's around. We had an interesting moment the other day. We came home from work and saw some papers knocked on the ground. Our cats are not allowed on the counter, so I scolded them and we moved them. But later that night, as we were watching TV in the living room, I had both cats on the couch with me, and then I heard a familiar sound of papers brushing on the counter and falling to the floor. I walked into the kitchen and scooped up the papers. They were pictures that my nephews had colored. There was no breeze, no air, nothing. They had been stacked so neatly, and it was Ryan. I just know it. Whether he was trying to show me it wasn't the cats and was apologizing or trying to communicate something, I just don't know. We have also had our moments of offending him. Once I was chatting with my husband, and he began complaining loudly about a building decision Ryan had made in our yard. He said something unkind. We both knew immediately by the change in the energy of the room and the hair standing up on our necks that he was angry. "Apologize now," I said, and my husband genuinely did. A moment later, we giggled about it. "You know, Ryan, you wouldn't get offended if you followed the bright light and moved on," I teased. The response was clear as day in my head. I swear I heard him go, yeah, in a teasing way. "Just go on and keep talking in a kind way." I said the words out loud, and my husband looked at me in shock. He had registered the same thing in his own mind. So, we've been careful about hurting his feelings since then, and have been fine. We hear him walk around still. I especially do in the mid-afternoon when I come home from work and settle into bed for a nap. It doesn't scare me anymore. I think some of it may be residual for him working in his hobby room. It happens every day at around 3 p.m. and lasts on and off for about 15 minutes, and then it's quiet. Yes, he does disappear for days or weeks at a time. My husband and I believe he goes to see his family. I don't know how that works. I just know that one day we feel he's there and hear his steps, and the next he isn't, and it's all quiet. Someone insinuated I was crazy because I keep talking about feelings I get. And I know that it does sound crazy, but you know how you can feel when someone is watching you, or you feel comfortable companionship when you and a friend are sitting in silence? It's the same with Ryan. I can feel it if he's sitting next to me watching TV, or if we have friends over and he's watching us and he's watching the interactions. I don't feel creepy about it because he stays out of our bedroom and the bathroom. I asked him to grant us privacy, and he does. His favorite spots are outside in the yard or on the couch. I know people want me to post a dramatic and scary paranormal experience, but our experience with Ryan, our very nice roommate, as we call him, he isn't malicious, so he doesn't freak us out. I have other posts on the sub that talk about my scarier experiences. I have had many more I can share. But I posted about Ryan because I wanted to encourage others to not judge every ghost in a house as a bad thing. It can be comfortable and respectful, and I know I could make him leave, but I don't feel it's necessary right now, and I believe he will leave when he's ready. So if you experience ghost activity, don't just assume it's bad. Maybe they're just lonely and want to feel seen.
Oh,
I was like,
that's so cute.
Yeah. I was just trying to read the comments. Great story with your ease of acceptance. I see we have an interest or previous experience with the paranormal. Is this a repeating experience in your life? Was he a Christian? I'm just curious why he's still there. My mom passed away a while back too. I don't have an answer that you're seeking. I apologize. I don't really know him that deeply. Right, I understand, but thank you. I'm curious what his reaction would be if they started coming around the house again. Would he be upset being reminded of all his lost life? Like if his family came over?
Well, they said that they knew them.
They knew them, but he's like, people are like, do you think they were ghost people? Would always record when they would ask questions if ghosts or whatever spoke back, and they would have heard it for some other reason. But yeah. I don't know. I thought that was kind of like fun when I read it. And then when I saw that there was an update, I was like, oh my God, there's already an update.
I like it's cute.
It's cute.
There's roommate Ryan.
Sometimes people like to feel comfort when they see things. Like, it used to be pennies from heaven, but now that pennies don't exist in Canada. Fun fact.
Is it dimes?
It's dimes. It skipped nickels. I think because of the beaver, isn't it?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But so they'll say like dimes. So if you find a dime somewhere, someone that you love is looking over you.
Or angel numbers.
Yeah. Angel numbers are another thing. If you see the same number repetitively, or just like little things, like all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, that was weird that happened. Huh. Like after our grandpa passed away, the water jug would glug in this like whole different way than it ever did. Even when someone, like it would just be like no one had touched the water jug in forever. And all of a sudden it would just start glugging. And we were like, what the heck? And he's like, oh, it's my dad. He's here. So let's come hang out, check things out.
He still doesn't.
I know. It's weird. It's this thing. It's like one of the same water machines or whatever. And it just...
I think it literally is the same.
I think it is. It's clean, people. It's clean. It's literally the best water machine. Fun fact, I've gone through like 5 and they've like flooded my floor for no fucking reason. So...
I was like, she's gone through like 5 and we're just having the same one.
No, I just have a USB pump from freaking Amazon that goes into one of the things. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to speak to any paranormal experiences that you have had?
I see 23 a lot, and that's dad's number.
I know, which is weird because I see 23 all the time too.
Like when the medical thing occurred.
Oh, yeah.
There was like 23 everywhere, and blue butterflies. Like, it was weird because I had this whole conversation with one of my coworkers when I first came, and she was really into butterflies, and I was like, oh yeah, like she took it as like a sign of rebirth, and I was like, oh yeah, like she goes, ever since I've met you, I've always seen blue butterflies, and I was like, oh, that's really funny. That's what I associate my dad with is a blue butterfly. And she goes, that's weird, and I'm like, thanks, but no, I don't know. I just take it as it is,
right? And sometimes, whether you believe it or not, if it brings you joy or like some sort of like happiness, then why not? Why not just accept it?
Yeah.
Yep. So that is the end of Spooky Spotlight. We ended it on a bit of a lighter note because, just to make it a little more fun. We will return to our regular content, which is us just yakking about things in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a conversation.
Shout out to Los Angeles, who recently got 55 downloads.
Yep. Thank you so much. And remember that we have overwhelmthelabel.com or overwhelmthelabel.ca. We have both of the domains. If you're in Canada, come check us out. Shipping is $10.95.
I think so.
On average? Yeah. Usually. And yeah, we have the hockey mom, whether you're a hot mess or a put together hockey mom or both. And we have a tote to carry all those lovely snacks in.
We also we have our website, burntoutperfectionist.com, which our blog has been running for since the beginning of October.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been 3 posts. 3 posts?
3 or 4.
Could be more than that.
I also post a yawn tree there. I also post on Sundays when I'm working on editing the podcast. I'll post like a quick summary of like what this week's episode's going to be.
Yeah.
And soon we might start doing like newsletters and stuff if there is interest. But yeah, burntoutperfectionist@gmail.com if you need to contact us, or overwhelmthelabel@gmail.com.
Or our DMs. So we look
or our DMs on Insta, YouTube, stuff like that.
TikTok is.
Yes. If you have any suggestions for subjects, we would absolutely love for you to send them in. And especially if you're not AI generated, that would be absolutely great. We add some random spam AI generated things.
So also, if you don't mind not doing specific ones to only
just
one
parents.
person,
Yeah.
because I can't really speak to that.
Yeah.
And always stay warped and twisted as ever. Peace.
Thank you so much for listening to us on YouTube. You can find us on all of the socials: Instagram, Pinterest,
TikTok,
Facebook,
Snapchat. But if you're more of a, just an audio type person, we're on Spotify Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. I think we're on Pandora, iHeartRadio, and you can also check us out on the RSS feed.
Thank you so much for listening, and feel free to go re-listen to some of the episodes that we have.